What's up troops, it's me TheTacticalBrit, and today I'm bringing you some more early access Titanfall 2 footage. Now this is the final build of the game that we've been playing during these capture events, and today I wanted to give you guys what I believe to be the best Titan in Titanfall 2. Now, obviously everybody plays differently and everybody will use Titans in a different capacity that perhaps I didn't try whilst at this capture event. Although I used every Titan and I tried using it to the best of my abilities, there may be ones that perhaps you play with personally better, but from my experience, this is what I believe to be the best Titan in the game. Now the Titan we're looking at is Legion. And Legion is a fuck-off big Titan with a fuck-off big machine gun with fuck-off amounts of damage. This guy is huge, this guy is just a monster really. This guy has a minigun which is absurdly powerful at range and in close quarters and can be an absolute monster for you guys to use. So, let's talk about all the abilities that Legion has. First and foremost, Legion has a shield for his gun. You get a gun shield. So he whips out this shield when you're firing, and if you crouch behind it, you can absorb a good amount of damage without actually taking any damage to your Titan or your Titan's shields, which is incredibly good, especially if you find yourself around corners or perhaps behind a wall or a building that you can get your gun over, whip out the shield, and effectively you're going to be like Blackbeard from Rainbow Six Siege if any of you play that, and you'll be pretty much unstoppable. Now it's a very good ability to use, and if you use it right, you can get a lot of damage in on an enemy Titan without actually taking any damage yourself. Moving on, we have the ability to switch what kind of minigun you're using, and this is really awesome. Now, with this ability, you can switch it to close range or long range. Long range is much more precise and will allow you to aim for specific parts of a Titan and specific enemy players. This is definitely much more useful if you're taking on pilots, because the other mode, which is close quarters, is very inaccurate in some capacities, and when you're trying to take on anybody at medium to long range, you'll have absolutely no hope. But the long range minigun, which you aim down your sights with, is going to give you a good capacity for long range attacks, and if you combine it with the shield that you get for your gun, you can actually take Titans on from distance, hit the areas where they're weakest at, and pretty much take no damage yourself, which is really awesome to have. And considering a lot of Titans don't have the ability to be close range and short range, this is a huge perk for Legion to use because it's very good in both capacities. Next up, we have the kind of burst attack. I don't remember what the exact word is, but effectively, it's an attack which includes like an explosive round as well as just a high pumping velocity of lots of bullets in a short space of time. So effectively you hit this button, which is going to be like R1 or RB or whatever you happen to use on mouse and keyboard, and you'll be able to fire a burst of weaponry and a burst of explosives as well. Now if you're using the long range mode, this will be a very precise burst that will actually do a lot of damage within the proximity that you've aimed at, but if you're using the short range close quarters LMG when you switch to the other mode, this will actually knock back any Titans that are nearby. Now one of the Titans, I believe Ronin, uses a sword, and I found it quite useful to switch to the burst mode at close range, knock him back a good couple of meters, and then switch to the long range and just absolutely destroy him with the machine gun. It's very versatile. At long ranges it can do lots of damage to a Titan across distance, and at short ranges it can knock back a lot of multiple enemies and even kill a lot of infantry if they're close enough nearby. Now, if you want to use Legion to your strengths, here are some top tips for you guys. I've also recorded some Titan versus Titan gameplay to give you a rough approximation of what it's like to take on enemy Titans. Now, Legion is not particularly fast, and if you're going to get into an engagement, you have to be certain that it's one you're going to win. If there's 2 to 3 Titans, it's definitely a no-show, but if it's 1 to 2 and maybe one of them's particularly damaged, you do have an opportunity. The best way to get the most amount of damage out of Legion is to whip out your shield, get behind cover, and maximize the amount of damage output with a long-range LMG burst. If you can aim for the weak points of a Titan, which are obviously available in red, they will glow red when you're aiming at them, and you can sort of maximize the amount of damage in those areas whilst defending yourself behind some form of cover, then you will absolutely destroy the competition. Make sure that you use the burst rounds as much as you can because they do recharge quite quickly, and at long ranges they can deal lots of damage, and at short ranges they can give you a tactical edge if people are getting too up close and personal for your liking. Like I say, he's a very slow Titan, so getting people back a distance is very useful. So it's very important that you use those bursts, but make sure you make them count as well, because they can deal a lot of damage in some pretty critical areas, which will give you the edge against opponents. The final thing is the Smart Core ability. Now every Titan has its sort of special ability, and Legion has the Smart Core. The Smart Core is a pinpoint accurate thing, and it works very similar to an ability on Overwatch with a character called like Agent 44, where he doesn't really have to aim and everything is just pinpoint accurate. Literally, if anything's within your field of view, your Titan is going to automatically lock onto it and kill it. It's going to keep firing at it, and it will lock onto the weaknesses of Titans, and it will lock onto enemy infantry. And the best way to use this thing is that if you're coming up against lots of infantry, to just whip it out and let it do its thing. It will automatically lock onto them and kill them. But if you're up against Titans, the best thing to do is to use your entire magazine of your minigun and then hit Smart Core, because then you get an automatic reload, which doesn't actually require you to reload. Use all of that magazine, and then you actually get a full magazine at the end of the ability's use. So in theory, you could effectively fire between 2 to 4 magazines by the time your Smart Core finishes, and maximize your damage output to take out maybe 2 Titans if you're lucky. And some of the gameplay you've probably seen, you may have seen me use the Smart Core at the end of a magazine to the point where I'm literally destroying Titans for fun. Now let's talk about the don'ts with Legion. Legion is a very slow Titan. Do not get into close quarters situations against characters which are renowned for their close quarters abilities, such as Ronin, for example, with the sword, and it also isn't perhaps the most accurate when it comes to facing pilots. So if there's a group of pilots, you might want to stray away, get in a better distance range, get in somewhere where you're going to be a bit more accurate into some cover, and then take on multiple pilots, because honestly, being a slow Titan with heavy inaccuracy when it comes to certain aspects of the minigun is not going to be particularly favorable. And finally, the last thing is to not accidentally switch between your fire modes. Stick to one or the other until you're in cover. If you switch fire modes whilst another Titan is firing upon you, you've wasted a good 2 to 3 seconds of damage output, to the point where they will likely beat you. So make sure you're sticking with one and not the other, and then once you get into a good amount of cover, you can then make the change, or once you get out your gun shield, you can then make the change, because that's the best way to do things. So that's about it for today's video. I hope you guys are enjoying this early Titanfall 2 access content. If you are, please leave a thumbs up, please leave a like, and I hope you guys are really enjoying these videos. If there's any comments or any disagreements you have, make sure you leave them down below. If there's anything you'd like to ask me in terms of tips and tricks, make sure you do as well. It's been me, the Tactical Brit. As always, thank you for watching.